some crazy stuff in the last couple of months. Russian. Oh, hello.
Давай! Блядь! Пиздец!
Well, hello, that's me again. Today is November 11th, 2025, and it is Tuesday, I believe. What you see in the beginning is essentially what is happening in Ukraine all over the place, and I will discuss those things later, but let's start with, yeah, we cannot escape this, and good Lord, let me put it this way. Espionage, operations of influence, coercion, all kinds of things of this nature, they happen all the time. And of course, considering the desperation of the combined West, all attempts, I mean, basically they use every single tool at their disposal to somehow pretend and, you know what, create the narrative or really sustain it, what have you, that somehow Russia is losing. But yet, while this happens, they all try to get hold of all those Russian weapons and Russian people and Russian servicemen. As a result, remember a few months back, actually a year or so ago, I'm not gonna even honor pronouncing the name of this jerk. One of the helicopter pilots from Russian Air Force basically escaped to the west, to Ukraine, actually killed his two co-pilots and one of the servicemen which was with him, and so he received his whatever he was promised, and he went went on and lived his life in Spain until he was assassinated. By whom? We don't know. But I mean, that's a good outcome for the, well, people who are absolute traitors. And so, well, traitors exist everywhere. For some side which basically, you know what, converts them and recruits them, they are spies and they're heroes. For other side, they're, you know, traitors and spies for the enemy and what have you. So, you know what? Espionage is a dirty business to start with. But now here is the MI6, which already have been stated by Mr. Lavrov openly, and FSB, who supported that, so to speak, operation. And I'm going to give you the printout or readout from the Russian news, and as you can see yourself, as RIA News reports, there have been, you know what, attempts to still basically MiG-31, which is the main carrier of the Kinzhal air ballistic hypersonic weapon. And so this is machine translation, but yeah, the FSB thwarted the hijacking of a MiG-31. It's not really, yeah, it's hijacking with the Dagger. Dagger is Kinzhal by the special services of Ukraine and Britain. So, and by the measure taken, the plans of Ukraine and British intelligence to organize a large-scale provocations have been thwarted. The release of FSB stated, and so if we go and continue to read into, I deliberately, again, read it from the Russian sources that, according to the Special Services Main Intelligence Directorate, Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, which is GUR, tried to recruit Russian pilots, promising them $3 million. Kiev offered one of the pilots the citizenship of a Western country. Also, the navigator was pushed to kill or euthanize the pilot in the event of hijacking. Yes, I mean, there are two people there in MiG-31. One is the pilot, the other is navigator and weapons operator. And so then the enemy's military intelligence planned to send MiG-31 to the base area of NATO in Romania, Constanța, where he could have been shot down by air defense systems and thus staged a provocation. Bellingcat, well, yeah, we know who Bellingcat are. Employees participated in the operation. And as the fighter pilot noted, last fall he was contacted by a representative of this organization who introduced himself as Sergei Lugolsky. He offered money for consultations on military issues. The pilot refused further communications. I believe that the purpose of contacting me was Sergei's desire to compromise me in order to later use it in the interest of intelligence. Oh, absolutely. These are the kindergarten level of operations. For some reason, MI6 primarily promotes itself through the James Bond movies, which are really ridiculous movies, to put it mildly, and have nothing to do with this espionage. But anyway, later the Russia TV channel published an audio recording of the briefing of the pilot by Ukrainian intelligence officer released by FSB. So you can see it here, as you can see yourself. They show him, you know what, $3 million. They have this mock-up, I mean, of the MiG-31. I mean, these are people who are very not bright, and we already know that, generally speaking, I don't know what it is. I mean, is it inbreeding on incestuous relations, which are probably, well, not probably, we know they are rampant in British military political top, but to actually demonstrate to you what is happening, we all know who they are. Remember Piers Morgan with the serious face? I remember I was laughing my ass off, pardon me, when he was saying that I'm representative of the BBC, one of the most respected news organizations in the world. I mean, when a person is an idiot, he is an idiot, but I mean, normal people do not work on BBC. And we suddenly know what is happening. And this is yet another scandal. By the way, they have another sexual predator in BBC. BBC loves their pedophiles, you know, so make no mistake. These are the type of people who work there. And so what we have now, BBC have been caught yet again in lying, doctoring their reports. And so look at this. As the another basically type of the low lies from Daily Mail, I believe, talk about that woke pro-trans BBC staff rebel media. The broadcaster staff are reportedly in civil war against its management after the Trump documentary episode. Well, you know that episode was essentially that it was doctored such a way that as if Trump allegedly ordered the people go and riot in the Capitol Hill on the 6th of January, which of course is complete BS, we know now. But yeah, so can you imagine? They have these people there who actually are against at least moderately truthful reporting of the news. These are Western media. They all like that. There's no difference between BBC, New York Times, CNN, or Fox. But the point is that as the woke pro-Trump staff at BBC News are at war with its governing board over the resignation of the top figures over the doctoring of a speech by US President Donald Trump. In a documentary that Daily Mail has reported citing insiders, with criticism mounting, the British broadcaster announced on Saturday, well, we know that they kicked out all those pathetic losers, people with no honor, no humanity in them. Most of them are war criminals. And you know why, for example, the woke BBC staff rebels, they hate Russian gods for precisely because Russians are anti-woke and their lifestyle is not applauded in Russia. So, according to the Daily Mail, the scandal has led to an outright civil war in the BBC, and so you can read yourself the headline. And I want to tell you that I'm on record, you know, that many times I stated this, that most of them are war criminals. Most of those British journalists, I mean, they have to be put behind bars because they are the ones, together with all kinds of the establishment or legacy media in the United States or in the rest of Europe, who were propagating basically and perpetuating these narratives, which were nothing more than Goebbelsian propaganda, which as now we know, resulted in the killing of more than 2 million of Ukrainian soldiers and all those kinds of the volunteers. We know Poland sustained horrendous losses there. All kinds of Latin American drug dealers, their militants also have been wiped out there, and they are continued to be wiped out. And as a result, not surprising. This is who they are. You people, those people, mostly boomers, bunch of the morons who had the best life that humanity ever had in all human history. These are the guys who enjoyed the old benefits of America, benefiting and profiting from the World War II. So this generation of morons, not all of them are morons, make no mistake. I'm not saying that I have to use that, the broad brush, but in general, baby boomers in the United States, they are in the foundation, one of the major pillars on which the whole dysfunction of the combined West and the United States in particular are based on. And so, what can I say? Suddenly something happens, something, of which of course they lie non-stop for the last more than 3.5 years, and the West is defeated. It's the fact, which is fait accompli, and now they desperately try to do something. I mean, they probably will try to do, and you can expect this, and Russians anticipate that, all kinds of provocation on the remaining nuclear power plant in Ukraine, and all kinds of things of this nature, so you cannot put pass by, for example, MI6 and British, any kind of the genocidal idea, because this is who they are. I mean, these people, like you saw in BBC, they will stop at nothing. So they are good at raping, killing, false flags and all that. But the reality, of course, when even the, let's say, cadre, German, neo-Nazi, jihadist, and Russophobe, he's not Russophobe, he hates Russian gods. I mean, he just, I don't know, probably his parents or grandparents have been in SS or something like that, Gestapo, that type. Julian Röpke, this scumbag, so suddenly he admits, if you take a look attentively, oh my God, he is just crying, poor baby. After the loss of Espionage, Ukrainian frontline locally collapsed in eastern Zaporozhye Oblast. Over the weekend, Russian invasion forces captured Rybny, Solodka, Nova, and blah, 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 blah. So, and he puts some kind of map there. But let's take a look at our friends who are real professionals like Ryobki and Bundeswehr. And so take a look at, for example, Zaporozhye. Here is Zaporozhye, and this is Gulai Pole. Here how it looked like on yesterday, and I always repeat that you have to keep in mind that this is probably the lag of about 3 days or so. And as you can see yourself, there is a lot of activities going on there. And yes, they are collapsing. You can take a look at, for example, what is happening now in Konstantinovka, where all those, wanted, Marines brigade, Marines, Ukraine doesn't have Navy, Ukraine doesn't have any kind of fleet, but they have Marines nonetheless. So, and they surrendering, and the annihilation continues. If we take a look attentively now at also more broader map of Zaporozhye, you can see yourself what is happening there, and so yeah, very active front, and Russians moving constantly to the west, and yeah, that's what Ryobki is, crying about, that the lines are collapsing. Well, he should be crying, because obviously once you are getting beyond those lines, that's it. There are just fields in front of whatever the cities are there, Zaporozhye, and then we have the situation developing in Kharkov. And if you take a look attentively now at what is happening in Pokrovsk, these are Russian forces basically entering Pokrovsk from all sides, and this is yesterday's map on how there you can see yourself there cauldroning, if you wish, is happening in Pokrovsk area, and which is Krasnoarmeysk, is pretty much controlled by Russians, and the bottleneck, so to speak, there well, yeah, they are trapped. The rest of the forces of Ukraine are trapped in Dmitrov, which is, Dmitrovgrad, and yeah, the fate is sealed. Now, if we're gonna go now to Kupiansk, Russian Defense Ministry reports that not only there is basically the enveloping of the remnants there in the east of Kupiansk, and let's open the map, and as you can see yourself, there is a fight and mopping up essentially the operations at the Kupiansk-Uzlovoy. Kupiansk-Uzlovoy Uzlovoy means literally hub, it means node. It's where the major rail hub is located. And if you take a look attentively what it looks like, Kupiansk-Uzlovoy, here you can see yourself, it's about a couple miles from the southern outskirts of Kupiansk. Here how it looks like. This is Kupiansk-Uzlovoy. This is one of the rail lines which were capable of delivering some kind of the supplies, not anymore. And yes, as you can see yourself, Kupiansk-Uzlovoy, it is underlined by red. This is the large railroad station, and with the storages and storage facilities, and well, yeah, Russians are in there and they're mopping it up. So yeah, when you take a look at all this situation, it's kind of like, yeah, let's take a look at the losses. This is the tally for today. And as you can see yourself, it's lower because, yeah, many now are beginning, as you saw yourself, to begin to surrender. And but still, you basically Russians wipe out the brigade size of force every day from the battle of order of Ukraine. And yeah, there is a lot of desperation, make no mistake. And as the result, we have, and FSB obviously was playing what is called the operative game with MI6 and GUR regarding this MiG-31 case. But yeah, Russians do not mind delivering Kinzhals to Ukraine. I mean, Mach 8, delivery, on order, no problem. Targeting is always available. So, and Mr. Nebenzia, the Russia's representative, permanent representative at the United Nations, he came out today and stated what I repeat non-stop, and what we all of us who have any degree of involvement into the military and intel and other national security issues were repeating non-stop. Impossible to defeat Russia through Ukraine proxy. Demands for a ceasefire reflect a growing desperation among Kiev and its backers, according to UN envoy Vasily Nebenzia. Absolutely, these are the first indications that they are really desperate. The West has begun to realize that defeating Russia by using Ukraine as a tool is impossible. Russia's permanent representative to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia, has said. I mean, we've been through this before, and fact is, combined NATO force also is incapable of defeating Russia conventionally, because obviously, as has been stated on a number of occasions by me, I will repeat it again, they cannot plan it properly. They do not understand what planning for the modern war is, and obviously, even with the United States, NATO will not be able to assemble any force, required force. First, they don't have it, they don't have resources, they cannot sustain it for more than, even if they had this force, they will not be able to sustain it for more than 2 weeks, maximum 3, 4. And so, yeah, what were they thinking? Well, with people like those people in MI6 and I mean BBC and Fox, Trump watches Fox, okay? So with all those American generals and all those planners in NATO military headquarters, I mean, what do you expect? They are incompetent, and now we can obviously come out and say, yes, they are incompetent, that militarily, politically, what have you. And so that's the result, and Mr. Nebenzia is absolutely correct. But it's not just the fact that we have been through this before. Let me take a look at one thing here. It's just that it's the issue of what Nebenzia says or whatever I say. It's the fact that very many people actually in the United States and in the West, well, less in Europe, still some, but in the United States, due to some very specific kind of cultural and how to put it, its peculiarities, cultural and geopolitical peculiarities of the United States, there is a still vibrant, thinking community, if you wish. I'm not saying that I necessarily is a huge, how to say it, admirer of the American Conservative magazine, because obviously I have my own views on the American conservatism, which is, and I read all the time all kinds of the conservative, proclamations, and even from people who are, you would say, yeah, they anti-Zionist, they anti-Israel, which is good. It's a good net positive. But the problem is they all talk about ideologies, geopolitics, and politics without addressing the main issue, which is, of course, economic issue, and how the United States will be extricating itself from this, horrendous economic situation, while obviously Europe is dying out economically. And so, but still, once in a while, they have the good kind of, working ideas in terms of, approach to the new world which we live in. And anybody who thinks that I'm talking about multipolarity all the time, multipolarity happened already in 2015. Actually, it happened before, but now it's, essentially it's tripolarity right now. There is Russia, there is China, and there's the United States. The rest of it is secondary, important, but secondary. And here, Mr. Sleskin, he writes in the American Conservative magazine a couple days ago, he writes this large article. Well, it's kind of relatively large. It is the West three options in a multipolar world. As you can see yourself, the sunset of the West hegemony does not entail the disappearance of the West. That's the subtitle of his article, and truth is, that's important point. For some reason, many people, including from my audience, they think that because I say that the West has been defeated, and some European countries will disappear, probably, most likely. France is the first candidate for that. The United Kingdom as the unified nation, as the United Kingdom, might disappear too. But we have to keep in mind that no, it doesn't mean that combined West per se disappears. No, it will not. United States certainly doesn't disappear. But again, United States was always kind of really left field type Western nation, albeit being by the virtue of its economic and military might a leader. But Mr. Sleskin is absolutely correct when he presents all those the three scenarios of how things will develop, and in terms of the framework of multipolarity. And multipolarity isn't here. And combined West, he's absolutely correct when saying that, oh, we talk combined West. Combined West is a pole. Yes, it's a pole, but it's one of three, at least, poles. Maybe we'll have four poles, but it's the whole other story. I'm not here to develop all those geopolitical, grandiose ideas. It's the fact that, yeah, United States probably has the chance to basically, stay United States in some form or shape if it can sort it out, the change of the political generation. Many people say that J.D. Vance will be first anti-Israeli president in the United States if he gets, through the process and gets elected. Possible. I don't know, But the point is, we definitely have the kind of budding new generation of American politicians, and judging by the also desperation of not only those Atlanticists, which is the euphemism for the West, and Zionists, yeah, they have issues. Okay, let's put it this way: there was never such a radical rejection of those policies than they exist today in the United States. Europe is a completely different story, and so what Sleskin writes about three scenarios. Which I agree with him. It's going to be a combination of all three of those scenarios, which essentially bring us to the decline of the West, which we just a second. To the decline of the West, which already happened, and what can I say? I mean, it is what it is. Nothing could be changed about it. And Russia is the main driver behind it. And hence, you can see yourself, there's a hatred of Russians. It's just desire to harm them in any way, because this is a dawning understanding of that the loss had happened and nothing could be done about it. There are all kinds of people. They want to kill Putin, for example. Can you imagine, just to explain to people what's going to happen if, for example, there will be some successful attempt on Mr. Putin's life? Anybody thought about what's going to follow after that? I can tell you what's going to follow after that. Real hardliners will come in, and who knows, it might end up that Europe will be wiped out, because obviously CIA may want to kill Putin, but it is MI6 and those inbred morons from London who for some reason believe that they are so important. They are not. I mean, many people, whenever I say British or something like that, it doesn't mean that I mean English people. There are many good English people, make no mistake, and to a certain degree I sympathize with them. And one of the reasons, for example, people say, oh, you're probably not as benevolent towards French. Well, French were enemies, and they, but British, while obviously enemies of Russia for a long time, in both world wars, I mean, Russians and British were allies, and Britain was a big ally. I mean, make no mistake, during World War II, despite the fact of all kinds of the shysters from the so-called conservatives, British conservatives, including Churchill. Churchill hated Russians, but he was a pragmatic man, and he knew that essentially survival of England, survival of the United Kingdom, largely dependent on the Soviet Union. If anybody have any doubts, it wasn't the December 7th, which is, of course, was Pearl Harbor. It was June 22nd, 1941, where he, basically it's recorded as a historical record that Britain exhaled in relief when they understood that all German effort now have been directed towards Soviet Union. And that's what happened. December 7th, the United States entered the war, and it would be another 4 years, 3 years before the United States will appear in Europe. But the point is that in this particular respect, what can I say? They still think that they are that important now, those people in London. They are not. And what can I say? That's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to tell you today. And you can see yourself, I'm making shorter videos today and yesterday because I am extremely busy, but I still need to come out to you and still give some comments, which many of you probably really want to hear. And that's pretty much it. And as you saw yourself, what is happening right now all over Ukraine, there are so many, obviously, video evidence of all that, I don't know how else it could be commented when you literally can see the collapse of the front. And yeah, Russians continue to move to the west and will continue to do so in the foreseeable future until the whole issue is settled. And that is it for today, guys. This is what I wanted to tell you. And as always, in conclusion, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. And those who can afford, please support me on Patreon or buy me a coffee or two. And before I go, I want to express my profound gratitude to my wonderful patrons and people who support me financially. You are the main reason, guys, that I am staying in this business, and I really appreciate you. Believe me, many of you I know personally. So, and thank you very much. So, what can I say? Have a nice rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.